What I would say is to anybody at any age, this is the way to go. Solo Build It will take you from point A to wherever you want to go. Solo Build It gives you the building blocks basically to, add one on top of the other until you actually have something that's going to make you a real income. And I don't think it's too late for anybody at any age to start. I would highly recommend it, as long as you're passionate about the subject and it's fun.
It only took me a few minutes to realise that this interview with Chase Landry was going to open up all sorts of possibilities for individuals who are embarking on the road to retirement. Hello, I'm Paul Buckingham, roving ambassador for Solo Build It. Like most people that we interview here on the Solo Build It YouTube channel, Chase is financially supported by her own website. While this fact is critically important because it supports the financial well-being of her and her husband, it is only part of the story, and her retirement journey will truly captivate you. Following an incredibly varied professional career, which included jewelry making, landscaping, songwriting, and performing, Chase created her first Solo Build It website in 2008. Her first site was dedicated to kitchen designs, one of the other core loves of her life. Yep, she was into all things kitchen. She had also grown up loving plants and gardening too, having been first introduced to the experience by her father as a child. Over time, gardening took over. She lost focus on the kitchen site. Life at the nursery turned into writing for the local newspapers and eventually led to the creation of a second site, SouthFloridaPlantGuide.com. So none of this is particularly unusual, except that Chase had been affected by a serious autoimmune attack back in 2002, leaving her completely unable to have full use of her hands. In just 6 minutes' time, you will be able to discover how she was able to create 2 financially successful websites despite this significant health problem. It would be enough to knock most people down, but for Chase, the opportunity to take financial control of her life despite everything that was going on was just far too attractive. Today, her and her husband are reaping the benefits. No matter where you are along the road to retirement, Chase's experience will give you an opportunity to rethink what's possible for you in your financial future. You'll have an opportunity to start that process right after this.
In 2008, I had written a book called Snowbird Gardening because I'm a so-called plant expert. And I worked at a plant nursery, and snowbirds kept asking me the same questions over and over again, so I wrote the book. And at the time the book was about to be published, I needed a website. And so I found SBI, decided that wasn't at all what I was going to use for a little teeny tiny website, but fell in love with Solo Build It, created a different website for Snowbird Gardening, but I was so excited about Solo Build It that I created a different website about kitchen design, which is another thing that I love to do. And I had that website for several years, and then it sort of petered out. It made me some money. It was nice, but I kind of lost interest in it. And so I was working at a nursery and had this brainstorm that I should do a website that's similar to my Snowbird Gardening, but for everybody, because people move to Florida and don't understand the plants and the climate, and it's a subtropical situation. And a lot of it is new to most of us that have moved here from somewhere else, me included.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized that Solo Build It was a great answer for that kind of website. And it's really paid off. My plant site is basically about the basic care and what to expect from landscape plants in South Florida.
Right. So let's just walk through this for a minute. What was your reason even for looking at the idea of a site in the first place, even back to the kitchen site? I mean, it's not the sort of thing that the average person does.
Well, I'm terrified of technology. I'm terrible at it. And I read a blog or a website that said that Solo Build It was the place to go, because they would take me through every single step, and it didn't matter that I didn't know anything. I could write, but that it wasn't even a necessity. And so it just kind of went from there.
I'd like to get into a little bit about the role it played back then for you, like what your purpose was, but also how it's transitioned, if the reason why, and perhaps how it's changed over time, if it has, your reason why for having the site. Does that make sense?
Yes, it has, and it hasn't changed. When I first started it, it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. Because I knew how to do it, I recommend that anybody that has a first site, if it's not, really your passion, start a second site with Solo Build It. Because you know so much more, and you can just barrel through it and really make a success of it.
Yeah.
But at first I started it for creative fun and to help people, and also to make money, because I had this experience of I had an autoimmune attack quite some years ago and lost full use of my hands. And I couldn't work in any kind of regular job, but I got a job at a plant nursery, and that sort of led to this whole thing about, learning about plants and so on and so forth. And I lost my train of thought there for a minute.
That's all right. The question you were doing well. The question really was how has the purpose of the site changed for you over time?
Right. I'm sorry. Well, if you've ever known anybody that worked in the nursery business, you make little or no money. Very little money. Most of it comes home with you, and you plant it in your yard. But as I got older, of course, it was like, well, shoot, this is wonderful. I'm making an income from this. It was a supplemental income at first, and I actually made money right away because the keywords were astonishing. And after a while, I realized that I didn't need to work as much, so I cut back to a few days a week at the nursery. And then a few years ago, I cut back to just working 1 day a week at a plant nursery. So it's basically supported me for all these years, and now in retirement, it's going to be a wonderful thing, because as long as the economy holds up and things don't change
People
dramatically in the world. Yeah, I mean, viburnum odoritissimum is still going to grow the same way, no matter what happens in the world, pretty much.
That's fine. You talked about earning money at the beginning. Do you have any recollection of how much you were talking about in those early days?
I would say that within the first 3 months, I probably started making $300 or $500 a month.
Right. So small by comparison, but nevertheless a really powerful inspiration to keep going.
Definitely. And because of Solo Build It's setup, I knew I was going to do that, because it helped me find these keywords. I mean, it was just a plethora of keywords, all the different plants that people were looking up, and they weren't finding, the kind of information that I was about to provide. And
Yeah.
I slaved over this website for like 2 or 3 years, morning, noon, and night. And when I say slaved over it, it means because of my hand situation, if I type something, it takes me forever to get it right. So this was a labor of love, but I was just absolutely determined, and it's really, really paid off.
I was curious about that, because you'd said that the autoimmune disease had affected your hands, and you were then able to work in the nursery. How do you set about writing a website? Because that's a lot of typing, that's a lot of not just typing, but moving pictures and all the rest of it.
Well, the typing is the hardest part for me, because I used to be a professional pianist, and my fingers just don't work like they used to. So what I would do is type a line and then go back and make, 15 corrections of every line. So it was frustrating, but I wanted to get it done, so.
Well, that's the other part of it, is that you were so keen to do it, you wanted to get it done, and you put yourself through that process. Do you was it that there was just a passion to express yourself? Was there a thought process about the income? Was there this is going to be really good for me if I keep doing it? What was driving you?
Well, actually, all of those things were driving me. Once I started, I realized that people were just clamoring for this information. And so I was trying to get it out there as quickly as I could, but it had to be the right information. And I don't know everything, so I had to, consult with people and do a lot of research and that sort of thing on specifics on each plant. But it was a labor of love.
Yeah. Did you get any help at all, or did you do it all yourself?
Well, not to say that I didn't get input from, certain botanists and, people that I trusted, nursery growers, things like that. But for the most part...
I mean the actual site.
No, just my site. All the pictures on the site are ones that I took myself. I spent a lot of time... I had to find a camera that I could actually, because I have no feeling in my hands, that I could feel the click when I took the picture, which was kind of a pain, because if you put your face into a camera, you can't see where your hand is clicking. So that was frustrating. But I went around to a lot of places in South Florida and knocked on people's doors and asked if I could take a picture of their plants. And pretty much everybody, I was chased out of one neighborhood. The guy thought I was weird, but pretty much everybody said, yeah, please take a picture. And what is that plant?
I want to know what on earth you did that had you chased out of a neighborhood.
I think he thought I was taking like divorce lawyer pictures or something, because I was in my car getting my camera ready.
All right.
Get out.
Long range lens, was it?
No.
Were you wearing a special hat, maybe?
It was just me. I don't know what what his problem was, but...
It's funny. So I think for somebody that's watching this, when they're watching it, I think the thing that really strikes me about your story is the passion and the desire, which you've already talked about. And what I'm interested in is, from your perspective, looking at maybe other people around you that are retired or heading towards retirement, that sort of thing. What do you find is their greatest threat, if you like, for the future? And I'm thinking of things like don't know what to do with themselves, got no real purpose in life, stuff like that. Do you have any observations or experiences about the effect that this can have on somebody's, mental well-being?
Absolutely. I think that all of us are creative. I know a lot of people say to you, oh, I'm not creative, but yes, you are. And I think that alone is the food for the soul, that creating a website about something you're passionate about is the answer at any age, but especially in retirement, because it gives you sort of a will to live, a reason to get up in the morning, the happiness of not having to go to a job per se, and creating, being your own boss, creating things that you want to create for people.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I think if you don't have that creative outlet and don't feel any kind of self-worth, then it makes retirement a bleak landscape.
That is a fantastic word picture. It makes retirement a bleak landscape.
Well, not everybody looks at it that way. Some people, they buy an RV and travel around and have fun and do that. But I think a lot more people you're physically unable to do a whole lot of the things that you used to be able to do. And depending on when you retire or, what kind of shape you're in at that point.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of us are basically homebodies, retirees. We go and do some basic chores and errands and things like that, and we meet with friends or whatever, but we don't have much of a life per se. And this takes you out of yourself to create a website that, about a thing that you're passionate about. You never learn, you never know everything. You have to keep learning. And, even experts have to keep learning. So that's part of, keeping the brain going, and the happiness and the joy of getting up in the morning.
Yeah. One of the things I was also interested in is the comment you made earlier about the process with Solo Build It, just the website building process. As I recall, you'd had absolutely no experience in building websites, whatever, and you just sort of followed the thing. For many people would be in the same boat. Most people would be in the same boat. Can you walk me through how Solo Build It helped you to go from zero knowledge to just that little bit of knowledge to that bit of knowledge to a bit more and so on?
Well, I just followed the action guide. You know, the steps that it takes you through are just so exact. There's really no room for error if you follow the action guide to the letter. Now, the action guide has changed a lot since I built my sites, but at the same time, I think all the basic things are there. They teach you that you can do it. And when I got done, when I say done, but you know, when I built the majority of my website, I felt like I had earned a master's degree. I mean, I really felt proud of myself because there were things that I learned that I never thought I could learn in my whole life. I'm not that right brain, left brain kind of person or whatever, but Solo Build It makes it possible and makes it not easy, but doable.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody say to you, oh, you should be doing it a different way because XYZ platform, WordPress or whatever is better? Or have you not had those?
Not at all. Usually when I tell people, they'll say, well, what's your website? You know, they'll say, what do you do? And I say, well, I have a website. And they're like, yeah, right. You know, cute little website. And then I tell them which website it is, southfloridaplantguide.com. And they're like, wow, I've been on that website. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
And that's not just me. That's thanks to Solo Build It. I could never, ever have done anything like that without that company.
Do you mind sharing how much you are earning a year?
Well, I've been with Mediavine now for about a year. Happy. Before Mediavine, I was making around, I would say, $2,000 to once in a while $3,000 a month. But with Mediavine, I've been making in the $4,000s to $5,000s a month.
And is that purely Mediavine, you know, pay-per-click advertising, or have you got products? You've got your book, I presume?
Yeah, that income does not include my ebooks. And I have the printed book, Snowbird Gardening. But I've been so thrilled with that, you know, with the, you know, Google AdSense was fine at first. I made decent money, what I thought was great money. And then after a while, it just sort of corroded down to, you know, a lot less. But my traffic was the same on my site. And so when I got a chance to switch over to Mediavine, and I would never have heard of Mediavine if I didn't read the forums, the Solo Build It forums every day. They are so informative. I learned so much from them. So it's like continuing education. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that I've learned on the forums that I wouldn't have known otherwise. You know, just somebody will write in and say, hey, here's a neat way to do this. Like, wow, how cool.
Yeah. Have you thought about, or could you contemplate, or could you imagine, maybe that's the better word, what life would be like if for you and your husband if you didn't have Solo Build It, if you'd just not even gone down that path?
I'd be working a 40-hour-a-week job, probably not making much until I died. I mean, that's pretty much it.
How would that be possible? You mean like in the nursery, for example?
Yeah.
Would it?
Yeah, and I've had offers, but I don't know if you've ever been to a plant nursery, but it's hard work. You know,
it's
and
hard work choosing.
Well, in South Florida, it's usually very hot too, so it's something to get used to. And I like working in a nursery, but to be honest, I was just sick of the people. You know, just tired of answering questions. But I would have to work a job, no question. There would be no real retirement. I mean, you can collect Social Security, but that's a supplemental income. That's not enough to live on.
No.
So
For somebody that's just beginning retirement now, let's say they are a year off, for argument's sake. In your experience, is it too late to start with a site now? Because in your own case, it took, all these years to earn that kind of income. It is requirement on, you do require good traffic.
What I would say is to anybody at any age, this is the way to go. Solo Build It will take you from point A to wherever you want to go. And it doesn't really matter, well, you can't expect to be making, a quick amount of wealth. It's not going to happen, no matter what you do. But Solo Build It gives you the building blocks, basically, to add one on top of the other until you actually have something that's going to make you a real income. And I don't think it's too late for anybody at any age to start. I would highly recommend it. As long as you're passionate about the subject and it's fun.
Yeah.
And so I can't thank SBI enough because it's made a huge difference in my life. I mean, complete difference. And I would highly recommend it for anybody.
As amazing as it may seem, Chase's story is not a one-off. There are countless numbers of us at Solo Build It whose lives have been completely changed financially, emotionally, socially, and intellectually by creating their own website with Solo Build It. To meet more of us, please click on the link above my left shoulder right there, and that'll enable you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can't see it, there'll be one just underneath here in the box below this video. For now, please keep watching for the next video. Chase talked a lot about the Action Guide and its role in her ability to create 2 financially successful websites. If you don't know what the Action Guide is, we're going to do a short introduction just to enable you to get an idea about how this unique package of information transforms ideas into websites that earn you money. That's coming up right after this. Thank you for watching.